So yeah, let's just take a moment here to explore what I call manifesting for the realists out there. So this is a session where we discuss everything that we know about manifesting and what it means. So some of the questions which have been already asked has been around, is it for ourselves, is it for someone else, and all of this is relevant. So let us just start by saying manifesting is something which we think is new. I think it's not. It is completely, really old, and it has been part of the spiritual traditions for aeons. And this is why I think it is important to understand the roots. The roots may be in different traditions, and and also now with a lot of work on the scientific side of things, there is enough evidence to support certain claims of manifesting, but we will go through some of it. So the ancient spiritual traditions like the Vedic and the yogic traditions, they use something called the sankalpa, and it's intention setting. In this tradition, this practice of sankalpa is closely aligned with manifesting. So sankalpa is a setting of an intention or resolve. So in this case, you set an intention to the mind, and the mind seeks it out, kind of. Often start of a meditation or a yoga practice. And the belief is that the universe supports the realization of one's focused intentions when they are aligned with a higher purpose. So that is what in the Vedic tradition Sankalpa means. And then there's the notion of karma and dharma. So in these traditions also there is this concept of action and consequences, and dharma, which is cosmic law and duty. So according to these beliefs, focused intention and action, which is karma, can manifest desired outcomes, provided they are in alignment with your dharma. So this is another way in which spiritual traditions have influenced our thoughts of manifesting. And there is the ancient Egypt and Greek Hermetic philosophy, which originated to emphasize the idea that universe is a reflection of the mind. And this is carried into this day as well. The famous Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, reflects the idea that inner thoughts and emotions can influence the material world. So, so they propose that mastering the mind and emotions, one could shape reality in accordance to their own will. So this aligns with modern manifesting practices when we talk about it, particularly the idea of the inner world mirrors our outer experience. Similarly, in the Buddhist and mindfulness traditions, we have this practice of right intention. Right is not the word for right or wrong, it is just the way. So, in one of the elements of the Eightfold Path, which encourages practitioners to cultivate intentions rooted in love, compassion, and selflessness. So, while this practice doesn't explicitly teach manifesting in the material sense, it teaches the clear and focused intention. So, what are we doing with our intention and attention combined with mindful action that delivers something for us in the universe? And this is where the manifesting comes. So, it also talks about the law of cause and effect, emphasize the law of karma, which is similar to certain other traditions. So, thoughts, speech, and actions are believed to have a ripple effect through the entire cosmos, creating corresponding effects everywhere else. So, In these practices, you could say like what I think of somebody can actually affect that person. The practice of mindfulness helps individuals become aware of the intentions behind their thoughts and actions, influencing their future. And even in the Taoist belief, there's a concept of effortless action, which is called Wu Wei. And in this, it's a form of non doing, it's just a form of being, manifesting through natural alignment with the flow of life. Rather than forcing outcomes, the Taoists believe that one should align with the Tao, the natural order of the universe, and allow things to manifest effortlessly from there. And this is form of an acceptance and therapy kind of practice for those who might not be into spiritual traditions. Is whatever is here, accepting, commitment, and then taking action. So the manifesting in this Taoist belief is in harmony with the universe's natural rhythm. So you have to be in harmony. Harmony is the operative word. And trusting that what is meant to happen, will come to pass without even if you think about it, it will come to pass. Even if you don't think about it, it will come to pass. So this is the belief. There is this new age, new thought movement in the 19th and 20th century. And this is where I think most of the Western culture got onto the idea of manifesting with Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's like a famous person, famous thought leader. And his ideas of self reliance and transcendentalism had a significant influence on the New Thought. And he argued that humans have this direct connection to something higher, which can be called oversoul, and that this connection allows them to shape their reality through thought, will, and personal effort. And Emerson's essays always talk about the power of positive thinking, self determination, the ideas that are foundational in this modern avatar of manifestation. And there's this person called, I don't know if you heard of him, he's called Phineas Quimby, often considered as this father of New Thought movement. Obviously, in those day and age, there were a lot more fathers than mothers, but that's a different topic. But he believed that the mind held the power to heal the body and transform reality. He developed an early form of what we call mental healing. This was in the 1800s, so it's very powerful what he done. Um, he believed in the 1800s, this is 200 years ago, that positive thoughts could bring about physical change. And think about this: in 200 years ago, there was no neuroscience, no teachers like us. There was just people who just thought everything was cause and effect, and human body is just parts and just function like a machine. Those kind of things were happening. And in that time, when you're thinking about positive thoughts can change your mind, people called them different words. Quimby's understanding strongly influenced people like Mary Baker Eddy, who founded Christian Science, and Emma Curtis Hopkins, who played a key role in the development of this new thought principles. So it is important to understand where this is all coming from before we dive deep into manifesting and the idea of what it is. So Napoleon Hill, I think a lot of us might have read his books and things like that. He's famous with that book called Think and Grow Rich. It was read in it was wonderful first attempts of manifesting culture. He'll introduce the concept of the definite chief aim, which is the practice of focusing all your energy on a single goal or intention. So he emphasized that success in life, especially financial success, is largely a product of thought, visualization, and persistent action. So this work uh, touched upon different realms, and it is also personal development and also blending psychology and philosophy to teach that focused thought and belief combined with action can bring wealth and success. This is kind of where we are going to nowadays. And also there is people like Neville Goddard, major proponent of the idea of the imagination is the key to manifesting. So worked on a lot of mental imagery, proposed that the human imagination is the true creator of our reality, and that by aligning to our imagination with our desires, we can manifest them. And this is kind of the idea. So manifesting is taken on so many different forms, but is still a really uh, ancient practice. And it would be interesting to know what people 2000 years ago was manifesting into reality, what 200 years ago people were manifesting into reality, what 50 years ago people would manifest into reality versus what we are right now manifesting into reality. We are manifesting the it is interesting to find these things, and in some of the studies it says 200 years ago people were manifesting things like uh, better better life for others. There was this common humanity involved. There was uh, they wanted clean water, for example. They wanted a roof under, and things which a roof which we took for granted. They wanted social cohesion, and 200 years ago or 50 years ago, people wanted to be happy, wanted to be content, wanted to be uh, busy. Like these are things. So now the manifesting world has changed, and there are so many things we can manifest now. So it is interesting to see how what we manifest also changes. Yet the way in which we do it is kind of still similar. And there's some psychological perspectives like Carl Jung, and there's a lot of talk about the placebo effect, which is interesting. So this illustrates how belief treatment's efficacy can bring about real, measurable physical changes, even when the treatment itself has no active ingredients. And this is one of the prime examples of manifesting. This is the power of the mind over the body. Lending some credence to this, thoughts can influence outcomes philosophy. And, and even in like the CBT trainings, and we can demonstrate that by changing the negative thinking patterns into positive ones, people can change their emotions and behaviors. And cognitive behavior therapy leads to more positive life outcomes. So in a way, you can, if this is something you want to do. So all of the time, I get the question in my coaching sessions is, what should why should I do this? Should I do that? Should I manifest? Should I practice this? Should I practice them? And my question to them always is it important for you? And what is important for you remains in your mind. And that is what your filter is. So you're filtering through the mind, and you filter what is important for you. So, what is important for you? That's the first question. And finally, there is the modern day philosophers like Oprah Winfrey, has had a has had much influence, a lot of influence on this. She publicly states that how she uses intentions and visualizations in her own life, further popularizing now this manifesting as a tool for achieving personal and professional goals. So there are people out there who, like in any concept, any idea, there's going to be people who dismiss it. There's going to be people who 100% truly, completely immerse themselves into this and just believe this is the only way of existence. And then there is the 90%, 95% of us who are somewhere along that spectrum. And I am not here to judge anyone because everyone has their own ideas of life. And as I mentioned earlier, how would you know that I am real without you not being in my mind? So I I will not I will never know what anyone else is thinking. So why would I consider someone else's beliefs as inferior slash superior to what I believe? So that is just the history, and I think it's important to touch the history. So if there is any questions of the history, just keep it coming. Like there may be things which prompted questions, and what I like to do now is just talk about the key elements of what I believe is manifesting. So I think we talked about this intention setting. This was clear. So clearly defining what we want to achieve. And this is where the importance factor comes in. So we have to, whatever we're doing should be important for us. Making money is important for you. Then you can start to take action towards it. Building a new house is important to you. Then wishful thinking alone will not build that house. Getting a new job is important for you. Then just being here without applying will not just give you a new job. Yes, you may have contacts who reach out to you and you may be skilled in certain way that you don't need to even apply, but those are exceptional. But for general population, general people, we have to do something. We have to take the action. And this is where intention comes. So I want to feel energetic and fit by eating healthy and exercising 5 times a week is one of the notes of intention from one of my clients. And this is a wonderful expression of intention rather than something like I want I want to be happy or I want to be rich or I want to be successful. So if you're looking at an intention, I invite you to go further into the intention. What is it exactly that hits you? What about being rich or what about being successful is it you are after? Because if you find that out, then success will be an outcome. So you are defining success on certain things. So if you understand what you are defining this success with, then this whole thing becomes an outcome. Then the second step is visualization. And there is so much evidence that this kind of works. I think a lot of us do it. Uh, it doesn't work in the sense of every time you visualize, the outcome will be the same, or every time you do a visualization practice, you will be successful. No, that's not what it means. I think it means is we train our mind to notice the positive. We train our mind in the desired situation so that when we arrive there, we are not surprised and the body doesn't go, oh, I don't want this because you're ready for it. So, this is where visualization comes in. And you can see this everywhere. And especially if you are into sports, because I'm massively into sports, you see this everywhere from amateur players to Grand Slam winners to Olympic athletes, everyone does visualization. Does not mean that everyone wins the gold medal. So there are more losers in the Olympics than winners, which is fair enough. But everyone does the visualization. And the point being, success is defined by your intention. So your intention may be, I want to win the gold. But if you are stuck in the intention setting phase and not taking any action, you are not going to win any trophies. Or at least, I hope you don't win any trophies. Because if you do, then that'll defeat the whole entire exercise. Anyway, I digress. My point being, visualization techniques kind of help us to put ourselves into into a mode where we believe this is okay for us, and we believe whatever this comes up with, we are okay with it. Then we cultivate what is called as belief and trust. So we find ways to stop self-doubt, self-criticism, self-sabotage. These are things which we have to work on. And when you set your intention, when you start to visualize, these things become more and more clear that I need to work on this area, I need to work on that area. So without you realizing, you may be already starting to work on these things. And that is the power of subconscious, that if you create something as important for you, the subconscious starts to believe it. And the most powerful question you can ask yourself in terms of manifesting, in terms of mindset is, why am I already successful? Why am I happy? Why am I fulfilled? And when you ask this question in the framing of it has already happened, and the mind starts to believe it has happened, and then you start to do things and start to engage, and then you start to believe, and then you start to trust, and then suddenly it may take some time, it may not take some time. We just end up in the place where we envisaged. We may not end up in the place where we clearly envisaged, but our minds would have shifted by then, which means that the idea of success or happiness or joy or being rich is so ingrained in our psyche that it becomes our life, even if none of those things look externally. So, the point being, there is a lot of power in manifesting. And the fourth aspect is emotional alignment. So, matching your feelings to the emotions you would experience if your manifestations were already a reality. And this is where it's very important on the way we do things. So, when we imagine our future self in a certain way, in a certain things, doing certain things, all I have to caveat by, there are like a lot of things which we cannot change. So these are only things we can control, which we can do, and the outcomes are whatever the outcomes are. So these are things which we can control. So uh, yeah, so right now I cannot, as much as I would love to, I cannot just go back in time and change certain things, even though I can manifest that all day. I can be thinking about changing my past. I can think about inventing a time machine. I can do that forever. But that is something which has next to 0% chance of happening. So, is that worth my time in manifesting? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how important going back in time for you is. Yeah. And then, so find the thing which you is is important for you and is something which you can you can get in a realistic way. And anytime where people talk about manifesting, people just start to jump on the bandwagon. It's a woo woo. It's just positive thinking gone haywire. It's just wishful thinking. It's just dreamscaping. It's just yes and no. Like, what is your dream? If your dream is to become the underwater king of what is that place? Atlantis. Unfortunately, humans cannot breathe underwater for long, and even if we do, it is very difficult. So, possibly not going to happen. But if your dream is to become a marine biologist, then that is something which we can do right now. So, understanding what manifesting means for you is more important than what understanding what manifesting is. So, the next step is inspired action. So, this is where people get lost in the whole process. A lot of people have these intentions, they do the practices, they sit there with their vision board, they do all the stuff, wonderful stuff. And when it comes to action, inspired action, when it comes to action, I think people fall because the action can look really, really boring. It can look really slow. It can feel like you are doing the same thing over and over and over and over. You know where I'm going with this. You just keep doing it. So, there is one reason I do a lot of lives. This is my inspired action. The one reason I put out so much content is because this is my way of inspired action. Now, there are people who will argue with me that this is not the right way, this is not the right strategy, this is not the way in which people do it. This is just counterproductive. You're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time. All of that valid feedback, but I don't believe in it. And this is the process. So, my point, inspired action is essential. Just start to take those actions you believe will what you get you to your place you are going to go. So, inspired action can look very boring, can look very blah, is not the technical word, but it is something we have to do. And we have to do because this is very important to us. And that is where getting the first four steps of manifesting in line can help. So you are emotionally aligned. The reason I do this is because so and so. You are belief and you trust the process. You visualize. You see yourself in the future. You feel yourself in the future. You have clarity of intention. So all of that inspires you to take action. Yes. And finally, the aspect which I think people stop here at manifesting. And they're like, oh, let's do the action and now what? And I think the most important aspect of all of this is gratitude. Be grateful for what we already have, as this helps you maintain positive energy flow. So practice being grateful for every single thing you have right now, which means you will appreciate whatever you may get in the future. So, these are the 6 steps to manifesting. There you go, you've done it. The next question, which I will leave for tomorrow, I think we've done a good session. I think I'll just leave it here and then we will come back to the same and we will discuss, is manifesting real, in the next part. So, yeah, please come back for the next part tomorrow and we will go through a lot more of this. And it will also include an exercise in manifesting. And we'll do a powerful visualization as well. So, yeah, thank you for being here. And I will see you all tomorrow.